Alright, this is a Yamaha 200 YTM 200 pole start. It's not in the best of condition, but it's what I got. They're not very cheap, so that's what we're going to be using. At least it'll give you a general idea how to repair it. So once you've got it off, so your rope broke inside, you got a nut right here in the center. It's a 10 millimeter. It's regular right-handed thread, so you're going to take it and undo it. Like normal with the ratchet. On the bottom, you have a little spring set up with some, it's a clip more or less. We'll make sure that the points point down when you go to reassemble this, because they actuate your ratchet. This can and will fall off. They do quite frequently. It's not a big deal. It's not any specific spot it's got to go. So just put it back on when you need to, when you're putting it back together. I'll pop it off so that way we're doing it complete. Here's the 10 millimeter nut. Set that off to the side. The ratchet's right here. It is on a spring. Okay. You can pull it out. The spring hits right there on this little divot on top here, top of the ratchet. The spring has a long and a short side. The long side goes into the drum, which is this part right here. That's your drum. Now these ones have a gear-driven compression cable, decompression cable. So the easiest way, you rotate it counterclockwise a little bit, which will get it off your spring. The easiest way is to kind of just pop this up with the flathead, and it'll release, and then you can pull it out. Now this one's a little easier to do because the whole housing there is cracked. There's some main areas of greasing that you want to do. Mainly right here, there's some gears. See the gearing? That runs your decompression cable setup. And then right in here with your spring, these have a metal plate. As long as you're not pulling this decompression gear out, you won't have to worry about the spring popping off. Thank you, Yamaha, for that little ditty. Now, you'll hear my daughter in the background. She's busy eating. You have a lever right here and a little shaft that goes with this gear. It's got a little upset that will move this lever that pulls the cable. Okay, you want to make sure that that's not in the wrong position. So you want to make sure this is all nice and this little tab is down, and not underneath this upset on the gear, and you're good to go there. Now we're going to add a rope to this. It's not a very long rope, and it won't be staying because the rope is hashed. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. The rope is done. We're going to need to melt the rope so we can feed it through everything that we're doing. So I'll get my lighter. This is an original rope, but it was never greased, or it hasn't been greased for a long time, and it didn't make it. So you're just going to melt up the end of this, set it on fire with a lighter, try and make it nice and smooth and stuff again. You can put, well, it's burning a little bit if you got a real shardy rope like this one is, where it's all strung out. Put your gloves on or whatever, blow it out, and then kind of pull it into a point. See how I'm doing that? That way, when you're trying to feed it back through, they got like a little plastic or a rubber or something in them that melts up real nice and enables for a nice point on them to where you can run them through your drum. Now this has a hole in the drum right here. There's a nice rectangular open spot. You're going to feed that rope through that hole. And they don't always work so nice and easy, but sometimes they just push right through, which is great. Make sure you got a nice nut on the end. You just kind of pull it down in so it doesn't pull through. Now, if you're going to pull this, picture you're pulling this out and the way it hooks onto the spring in there, it's going to turn this way. So you're going to want to wrap your rope. If you're going to wrap it first, you're going to want to wrap it to where when you pull it, it pulls clockwise. So I'm going to just have my rope in there like that. And I'm going to fit this back in. And you got to remember, we got a gear here. So you kind of trying to match it up with the gear. Push it down. It'll give you a little bit of a hassle, but it's not too terribly bad. And you can back her up. So we're there. You back it up. It isn't going to hit the gear. Give it about 3 turns. See, they got a notch here on the Yamaha ones, just like the Honda ones, that you can bring the rope up through, but I've got this broken drum here. It works. It's functional. Give it 3 turns. And then you're going to want to pull your rope and feed it through your hole there. Okay. Latch onto that with a pair of vice grips so it doesn't pull back through. And now you're good to put the rest of it back together. Remember this spring, you got your long side of the spring. See the barbs? Long and a short. You want the long into the drum housing. You can add a little grease to this spring. It'll help it. Add a little grease to the spindle that the ratchet sits on. Add a little grease to the ratchet itself. Right here where it rotates the hole in it, so that way it's good. Put some right there where that spring's going to sit. You know, just grease helps things along. Helps with the wear. Now you're going to want to you're going to want to hook the ratchet onto that spring. You'll kind of tip it down first. Then, when you know you got tension on the spring, bring it back so that you can sit it inside. Or you can feed the spring with your finger, pull it out, drop the ratchet in, let it snap back. Because that is going to make sure your ratchet opens and closes. That is the whole goal of that. The ratchet must open and close. The spring is what closes it. This little clip over here that sits on the outer housing is what opens it. Now, you're going to want this. You just push it back on. Say it fell off. Push it back on. Add a little grease right here to the top of the cone. You can go a little bit down from that as well. Helps everything move. Because after 30-some years, there ain't no grease left on this stuff. It's done burnt off. Now, these 2 divots, you know, the 2 hooks there, not the circular area, but the 2 hooks, you're going to want to have them facing towards your ratchet. Off to the right a little bit works pretty good. And then you're going to push that there. Then you're going to grab your nut, put it on your socket, just kind of drop it in so you can get it down, then tighten it up. I run it by hand first usually, and then I'll throw my ratchet on to snug it down just a little. Yamahas are picky. If you go too tight, they won't close back up. They won't open, they won't close. They throw a fit. I have had to deal with that with my 225. Now bring the rope all the way out. I mean, there's quite a bit of rope here. Take your vice grip, let go there, bring it back here, grip onto here. Yeah, I gotta give it a little more grip. So that way it doesn't suck it back in. You've got your drum, your rope spun on, you've got your ratchet, everything's in there. That's all good to go. Now we're going to grease this cable. We're going to grease this rope because it had more than I thought it did. I'm going to grab my pull start handle, which is over here. Yamaha uses the same setup as Honda. They use a metal plate inside to hold on to the rope so it does not pull through your rubber handle, because otherwise this rope is just going to pull right through. You're going to want to feed your rope through your handle. Yamaha, unlike Honda, the rope goes right through, which is really nice. I mean, Honda, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You got to force them through. And you run it right through this metal lip, tie it in a knot. You know, when it's not a greased rope, they're real easy to knot them up. You can just pull it by hand and you get a nice good knot. Then you suck that rope right back into this metal cap. Make sure you got that metal cap or your rope is not going to stay in your pull handle. And pull it right back in to the handle. And you can use, see it's right there, it's kind of dangling out a little bit. Okay, you kind of line it up in there, get it started. You can push it down in, and then you can give it a nice tug when it's in the handle on the rope, and that's good. Now, like my Honda setups, I take grease, put it in the palm of my right hand. I get dab on my left, my right hand. I get dab on my finger. I put the rest of my right hand, and I'm gonna grease this rope. You don't need a lot of grease. You just need it to kind of lube up the rope, because this one's frayed a little bit. And I'll put it on here and I'll see how long she lasts. This is on my custom build machine that I'm doing. You may need to add more grease if it's never been greased. Now, I don't think this one has. But, the grease helps the wear. You're running rope against metal, and the rope is going to lose and the metal's going to win. But the rope over time, even if it's greased, is going to wear that metal. And you're going to have grooves. My 225 has got grooves in the pull starter itself from where the rope is rubbed on it all these years. But you get a nice smooth greasing. Not a whole lot, not too little, but enough to make it worth your while. I'm all out of diaper wipes, so I can't clean my hands with that. But just wipe your hands off. Then take and let loose the pulse, the vice grip, and let it suck this rope back in. This one's going to throw a little fit because of that decompression cable. And that's that. The decompression, you watch the gear inside there. The gear's right here. You can watch it. If it actually engages when you pull on it, you're good. You'll see the ratchet itself on these Yamahas does not come out very far. The ratchet you will see is right here. Let me get you closer. See, it doesn't come out very far. But I can show you the wear marks on a Yamaha from the rope. See right there on the other side of where the rope is at? That's the wear from pull starting with that rope. And it may just be Yamaha, they didn't have enough of a design for there, but I'm sorry, I feel that it's any of them. And I completely redid this pull start. Didn't have to worry about the spring because Yamaha has a different design than Honda does. That is done. 225 is exactly the same with the pull start, except for it does not have the decompression cable. It doesn't have that gear. It's got a lever on top of the head that you flip, and then you give it a good pull. And some of the 200s may not have this decompression cable as well. I don't know. I only have a 200K, which is a chain-driven 200. So that's a Yamaha pull starter. A lot quicker and easier than a Honda, but they have their faults as well. Thank you for watching. I hope this will answer most of the questions people have out there. I only have 3 different styles of pull starts. I have the plastic drummed Honda, the metal drum Honda, and then the Yamaha pull starts. So I can't tell you how to do a Kawasaki or a Suzuki pull start. If I could, I would. I'm guessing they're really similar to this. The springs, respringing them should be pretty much the same. Good luck with your endeavors, and thank you for watching.